What's up, guys? Jeremy Clark here at Phil's Jackson on X, coming to you from the Premium Tier Futures Discord. That's at Premium FTS on X. And we're just going to go over some trades, do some trade recap, talking about the Jigsaw DOM and the footprints, etc. This is like a weekly discussion that we do just to go over the trades that we did and try to find try to better ourselves. So, um, welcome. Thanks for everyone for watching, and we'll jump right in. Uh, Eli, did you have anything specific that you wanted to discuss, or any screenshots that you wanted to pull up?
Yeah, I had a couple of recordings. I have that one psychosis wanted to see with the absorption. Uh,
Awesome.
I can do that anytime.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you want to share your screen, and
Uh,
then I can load that in.
okay.
I was just going over the Jigsaw DOM earlier, and this big circle up here just showing that I have the Jigsaw DOM set to 1 point compression. So that's 4 ticks. And you can see these control orders, 128 and 127, very close. Um, see that a
Yeah.
lot especially on a range day. So, the Wyckoff theory, or Nigel would say these are probably the same trader controlling price and either accumulating or getting ready to distribute. Um, but this went on pretty much most of the session until the end, and then I think they dropped price afterwards. But it was very hard to
Yeah,
trade in this range.
those have been weird. I've been seeing those a lot lately the past few weeks. And it was Peter. It was in one of Peter's videos. He talked about how he said that those were like volatility orders where if it spikes, they'll get filled, and it'll be kind of like a mean reversion type thing. But I've never seen that. They always seem to just mirror the market. So,
You said to steer the market?
oh, they just mirror it. I mean, they just
Oh
follow
yeah,
it around.
they sort of
Seems
follow it
like
around.
yeah. When the volatility expands, they get wider. So, yeah, I don't understand what those are.
Yeah, my thinking is that they're there to, well, I mean, I guess somebody could be hedged, right? So if the volatility did spike and they got filled at that higher order, it would take profit and sell down, and if it got filled at the bottom order, they'd be long. Um,
Mm.
the interesting thing when I'm looking at Bookmap, you see the same thing on the heat map, and it just tracks it on either side, up and down across the chart. So
Yeah, yeah,
they're clearly automated, they're adjusting as it goes. So I don't know if this is an algo or if this is just a professional trader strategy setup.
mm,
Um, and I guess we don't know if it's market makers or if it's someone hedging or doing it on purpose or what, but they're definitely there. And when they're there, price, like you said, it tends to stay in the middle, between those two. So you can kind of gauge how far it's going to go or not, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. If anyone knows more about those, leave a comment because I'd love to hear it.
yeah, exactly. Let's see. Is this your screenshot right here?
Yeah, here I got
Oh,
a
cool.
recording.
Okay, cool. Let me just pop that out. There it is. Pop it out.
You can actually see those orders in this as well, really clearly.
There we go. Cool. I got that pulled up now. So feel free to jump in.
All right. So I'll just start it. This is just a short one showing huge absorption at 650. Uh, you'll see my mouse moving around. This is recorded in there, so
Yeah, I see it.
um, um, might get in the way sometimes. There's nothing I can do about that. Not thinking about the recording in the moment.
Right. I noticed right away what I was talking about. on the book map heat map, you can also see in the Jigsaw auction vista, which is, this white block of liquidity up above, then you've got price in the middle, and then there's another white block of liquidity tracking it below. And that's those large orders that are on the DOM that we were
Yeah.
just discussing. And you can see how it just follows it like train tracks, It's like the center line of the midline of a street.
Yeah.
So what are we looking for here?
So sellers are coming in heavy, and there's going to be support coming in right around 650. I'm was taking a trade to the downside here, expecting this to break at the time. You can see there's some pretty big orders down below as well, 200s. Uh,
I see, yeah, the 200 and the 230.
yeah,
So you're aiming for those. And then the one lot up top, that's your stop loss.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So here's the absorption coming in right at 650. Huge,
So you see that it's over
huge
2,000 lot,
iceberg.
almost 3,000 lot now.
Sellers are still hitting into it, so at this point, I still think it's going to break, but definitely getting hesitant.
Yeah, 4,000 lot is quite a bit to have there and to have it not break through.
Yeah.
I mean, that's massive. Um, but I am noticing it's 4,000 sellers. I'm sorry, that's right. 4,000 sellers have been filled right there. Is that what we're
Mm,
looking at? And then on the right
yeah.
side, you've got 3,000 buyers that are getting filled.
Yeah.
And you can see it starting to bounce.
Yeah. So I cut it
Yeah,
right then.
yeah. So that's a great example right there. That's exactly what I would look for on a reversal bounce. Oh, we lost you. Was that the end of the video?
Yeah, that was all I recorded. It eventually broke. Uh,
So it bounced off of it, that absorption point, and then it came
Yeah.
back and it broke through it later. And that happens a lot, right? You get kind of like a bull trap out of that or a failed bear trap, it goes back and retests the liquidity up above, back tests
Yeah.
it and then
Yeah,
fails.
and if I remember right, it broke through. They broke through, and then it immediately popped back up and squeezed uh, before it eventually turned around and continued lower.
Yeah, you see that a lot, especially on range days. Let's see. Do you have another video for us or anything, any other screenshots?
At the moment, I don't. So
Okay,
I
cool.
got right. Let me. I have another one here. I can't remember exactly what it is. You had a few things, did you?
Yeah, but mine are all just screenshots, and I think that they'll kind of complement what you're showing in terms of the videos.
Okay.
Sorry, were you gonna add another one here or?
Uh, yeah, sure. I'll just play it.
Oh, okay.
I'm like I say, I can't remember exactly what it was.
Sure, it'll be interesting. I need to start recording these uh, DOM sessions more. I think it'd be really illuminating. Oh, there
So
we
it
go.
says I'm okay.
Oops, at the full screen. Shoot. Sorry,
Yeah,
folks.
I really
Uh,
like recording. I highly recommend it. Go back and watch any of your trades or something crazy happens.
yeah. Okay. Sorry, we just went dark there for a second. I'm trying to pop out your screen here. Return to app. Where did it go? Out. Make this full screen. Okay, we're good. If you want to hit play on that. Thanks.
So this was a trade that I took. Uh, I know that much.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, you can kind of see the support here, and I'm always watching the volume profile as well. So we kind of broke above, and we're now testing back into this high volume area.
Okay.
So I went long there, expecting this to hold. You can see the buyers coming in on the Vista as well.
I see where it turned around right there on the Vista tick chart, and you've got a big block of liquidity supporting right around, what is that, 58.92,
Yeah, 56. Yeah,
56.92, and then you can see there's a bunch of 100 lot orders stacked. That's something I look for, is orders over 100 lot kind of stacked up. They're either going to eaten up like they just almost did, but then you see them refilling right there. It's making kind of a double bottom on the heat map. And you've got that 180 lot down below, 56.90, 175, and they're fighting back.
yeah, and I think I'm being a little bit overly cautious here. I took that out break even just to see what would happen here as we're testing again.
Yeah. You'll notice too that you're right at the value area high, right? So it's either going to fail and come back into value, or it's going to hold and start, filling in this volume profile a little higher, which it looks like it's trying to hold here.
Yeah, so I'm gonna re-enter here after it holds.
So you're going to go get back in long.
Yeah,
Okay. Anything specific you're looking for here?
I mean it's kind of just go by feel, but
Yeah.
I'm just looking for these orders to hold. I don't want it to break too far into this high volume node. Uh,
Yeah, I always notice, if it does kind of break into the high volume node, it'll go like 2 or 3 ticks. And if it doesn't go past that and then it breaks back up into the low volume node, that's a pretty good sign it's trying to hold.
yeah, yeah,
Nothing is certain, but you can kind of see it's been tested. You almost have like a triple bottom here. Somebody might call this a pennant, based on the auction vista shape. And that level is still trying to hold. So if I see like tons of volume coming in right there, yeah, I'd go long. And then I'm looking at, was it 58.96? There's a block of liquidity showing on the heat map right there. That's what needs to break. That's your resistance. Yeah, and there's a 495 print at that level. So that was a pretty high volume area previously. It'll probably get back tested again. I'm noticing too, like in terms of targets, your histogram up top, right? You've got almost 700 lots, 695 right there on the offer, um, right at about 56.98.
yeah.
And there's just a big block of liquidity right in that area that keeps getting refilled and pulled and refilled and pulled. But I
That's
imagine
right up at the. That is right up at those orders that are following the market too.
it is,
So I think it's about half the size for real.
yeah,
Buyers keep coming in.
yeah. And I'm watching. This is really interesting what happened on the auction vista, because you've got like a 3 large lots separated by 1 tick down at the bottom, and they're kind of moving up and down with price. And then you've got something similar up top, but you have this one big block of liquidity like at 56.98 or 96. I think it's at 98. It's just
Mm.
asking to get filled, right? And so do you see that long white line? that's going across right about 56.98
Yeah.
versus these little short blocks of liquidity that are just kind of more recent. So that level has just been there the whole
That
time.
was, that was the end here. We'll go back and pause.
Yeah. Yeah, so that tells me that that 56.98 is probably the target, right? Just looking at your offer, you got a 384 lot sitting there waiting to get filled. And then what is this
Could be.
yellow what is this yellow line? Is that the IB line from on the volume
Yeah.
profile?
So far it is. Yeah. Uh,
So is that IB high or I'm assuming that's IB high because there's not really
yeah.
much. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. From the pit session so far.
And so do
Yeah.
you have that set to like the 30-minute open or the 60-minute open or
60 minute.
okay.
Yeah, so that's what I was going for. I didn't want to hold through the test of the RB high. Uh,
Yeah, because it'll back up on you.
yeah, sometimes it will. Yeah, so at this point, I'm not trying to hold through anything really. I'm just trying to take kind of the first little push that I get.
So you're just trying to get, 4 or 5 ticks out of it, so to speak, or maybe 10 ticks or
Yeah, 10 or 15, something like
okay.
that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I notice a lot too, looking at the left on the auction vista, you've got this horizontal consolidation that happened. You got this clear break and kind of back test. And then it seemed like you were trying to catch that first push up, you
Mm,
know, after the break has been tested, but then that next reaction where it just pushes up and this big white line at 56.98, there's a block of liquidity there and on the offer, and there's also, it's also IB high. So what I notice is a lot is that yeah, that'll be the target, but like it doesn't always get hit, and it'll make a real aggressive move towards it like it did. I'm looking at one, two, three, four, five, like 6 or 7 ticks right there, and then it aggressively pulls back. They they dump their orders out, and so what happens next, whether it actually goes to target or not, is kind of up in the air. But it's like a bait. It's like a bait and switch. It's like dangling the worm. Here it is, come get it. And then when people jump in, it moves enough ticks that the big players just take profit, and they don't really care what happens after.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, who knows if we get close enough, that order could pull too.
yeah, it could pull, it could break
Just like
through,
you're
it
saying.
it could be resistance. You don't really know. But man, this is some great insight. Um, just kind of comparing, it ties together with what I was talking about with those large, what I call control orders on the DOM. Because my thinking is they're never going to get fully broken through. They can. I shouldn't say never, but a lot of times you just see them mirroring price on either side. And in those situations, I find it really hard to trade. It's a lot of times it's a range day, and it just seems like price moves up and down at will with no warning.
Mm, for sure.
Good stuff. Anything that you want to add or point out while we're looking at the looking at your chart here?
Uh, I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think we yeah, I got nothing.
Okay. I'm just noticing your tape, so it looks like you have maybe a large lot order tape next to maybe a full tape. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the summary tapes on the far right. And
Okay.
then yeah, I have the large lots there just to the
Okay.
left of it. That's
Is
a
that
that's a
that's
hundred
set to
plus.
100 plus lots, and then so the other that's good. That's really cool. I should probably start doing that again. I
I
used to.
find that really useful. Sometimes you'll hit an area and it'll just pop with red orders, and
Yeah.
it can be really useful to see. Uh, I keep LTQ also right in the middle. I'm sure you saw that. I really like that as well since your eyes are focused right there when you're looking for an entry, and sometimes you can see those large orders hit in really quickly on one side or the other.
Is that in the middle of your market fills columns?
Yeah,
Oh, I see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I see it. So I'm just running my mouse over. There's a column right in here in between the bid and offer that's showing the last traded quantity. Yeah, that's a really cool thing. I like that. Awesome. All right, well, if there's nothing more to add, I'm gonna go ahead and switch back to the um the screenshots of the DOM
yeah, yeah.
and
Take over.
yeah, or let's just get this back and okay, cool. So a couple minutes ago I turned on let's see, make sure we're back in here. Okay, that looks good. A couple minutes ago I turned on my Epic Pin, yeah, and it's just blacking out my screen on my end. So that is kind of interfering. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Um, see if I can just get rid of that exit Epic Pin. I didn't know it was such a, um, I didn't know it had so much, uh, took so much resources off my computer. That's kind of crazy. Maybe it needs an update.
That's funny.
I'm going to give it one more chance here. Okay, now it's working. Cool. So I should be able to draw a circle here. Going back to what we were just talking about, um, is that coming through on your end?
Yeah, I can see it.
And you can see the orange circle.
Uh,
Okay, cool. So um, this is just a different view of what we were looking at on the heat map, different DOM, and you can see we've got over 100 lots sitting there at, in this case, it was probably 5630, um, maybe 5602. Anyway, you can see this is on 1 point compression, so there's these two orders that are just sitting there and kind of mirroring as price goes along. So I see this all the time on range days. It's something when I see that, I get really careful. I lower my risk, I raise my stops, and I try to make really tight, quick little entries and exits because I know there's going to be a lot of volatility happening there. Down on the bottom left, you can see the pace of tape gauge, and I like to look for that to hit into the red area here to get out of the yellow. In this case, you can see buyers are stronger, but not by a lot. Uh, when buyers really take over, you'll see this blue shaded area will fill in, like 3/4 or half of the pace of tape gauge. And then you want to see the needle tick over into the red. That's a good spot to enter on volume. I'm going to go ahead and click into another page here. So this next one, let's get rid of that stuff. So same thing. This is I'm sorry, the first screenshot I was showing you was actually the NASDAQ, and this is ES. And you can see we've got those same control points. They're a little larger on ES. You got 1,300 lots to 1,200 lots. So I'm watching ES kind of side by side with NASDAQ, and then moving over to the next one here. So now we've gone down from 1 point to 2 ticks. And I watched the 2 tick compression side by side with my trading DOM, which is on 1 tick. And just looking at the DOM here, you can see um, I have IB, I think that might be IB low or IB high marked right there. So it looks like maybe price had gone up. But again, you see those control orders. This time it's 800, almost 500, next to 760 versus 559 on the bid. And you can see there's a big order fill just happened right here. 709 buyers hit the offer. going up against 391 sellers that are hitting the bid. Um, when I see that, I want to see the delta stronger on the bid side to tell me that there's more orders hitting into the market fill order, and that there's also more orders hitting the DOM on the bid side, and that to me would be a good continuation. And then something I really look for all the time for a target, these empty boxes. Can you see that, Eli?
Yeah.
Yeah, so these empty boxes a lot of times will fill. If you don't get enough sellers coming in at that level, I can usually get one or two ticks right there. You can see there was only two fills previously, um, and we've got more orders hitting the market fill. So if if the market orders stay aggressive and the bid orders come in aggressive as well, then they're probably stronger than the sellers. They're going to overwhelm them right here, and I can usually get one or two ticks. If I get continuation, you know, then it'll fill this second liquidity void right here that happened. And that's what I noticed in a big drop. Sellers were strong, and they were so strong that they skipped a level on the bid. They just pushed right through it. No bids got filled right there. Same thing, they skipped a level here. And so that's like an inefficiency that's going to come back and get balanced out later. Um, Usually that means there's hidden orders that can still fill in that zone. So when price is brought back up to it, it's a good spot to go and grab some more liquidity that was left behind. So I might target those.
So
Um,
what are your targets now? How many ticks?
right now, so I just went and set up some automated strategies, and I'm targeting 3 ticks max, but I set it up to trail at 2. So if it gets to 2, I've got a 1 tick trail on it, and if it gets to 3, it takes profit. And then I split it up into multiple legs so that maybe, let's say I enter 10 lots, I'll take 5 lots off at 3, and I'll take 4 lots off at 5, and then I'll leave a runner for 8.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one
So
I'm just experimenting with.
that's cool. That's really tight. What's your stop?
So the initial stop is 4 ticks, and it moves
Okay.
it moves to break even at plus 3 ticks.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, and then I think it goes break even plus 1 as soon as it gets another one out of it, just to protect. If you do get a scratch, at least you kind of cover your costs.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, it was something you reminded me of last week. I used to have the automated strategies, and they set the stop a lot faster than you can with the mouse. It just automatically sets and trails, and I think that can be a lot more effective, especially using a higher, bigger order.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Especially this last week when the volatility is so high sometimes. I mean, it sucks. Sometimes you enter and just immediately get stopped out.
Yeah,
It's a bummer,
there's
but if you didn't have that order in, you'd be kind of screwed.
yeah, exactly. And my reaction time with the mouse is not going to catch it. And also my bias, if I'm long biased and it goes against me, I just have such a tendency to try to hold on to that and give it a couple more ticks and give it a couple more ticks. So I'm trying to just automate my responses so that takes me out of it, and it just does what it should do, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I signed up for a 250K evaluation account, and you can enter 27 lots max. And I was thinking, it'd just be so easy to get wiped out playing with that many contracts at once.
That's huge.
Yeah.
What is that per tick?
I need to do the math on it, but it's almost, let's see, 10, 20, 30. So it's almost triple what the 50K would be.
338 per tick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. You said it was 338,
Yeah, 337.50.
337.50 per tick. Yeah, I mean, you could take 1 tick on that, And this is a point I wanted to make. I've talked to this about this over the last year many times. Um, when I would get stopped out of a play after three or four ticks, you know, I, I've been realizing like my entries usually go into profit, and I think you've said the same thing. Um, we're both really good at spotting entries that are about to move. So that means it's either going to get continuation or it's not. And if my entries are at 90%, but my I'm getting stopped out and I'm getting losses because it backs up on me, then that's because I'm not taking profit quick enough, you know? So I
Yeah,
think I can really up my win rate by just taking profit at two or three ticks.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see some recordings of your trades sometime.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing that this week, but I've gotten really good at entering, a 10 lot, um, which I remember a time when I thought 10 lot was just crazy. But it's not that crazy if you're only risking two ticks and you're only taking two or three ticks profit. You're out before it can turn against you.
Sure, sure.
Um,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah. Let's see if I can find another. See, we're on number three here. If I can find another example of what we're talking about, I think the next one, this is just going to be my actual trading DOM. And so this is the one tick compression.
Well, there was one thing I wanted to add about what you're calling the control orders, is that for a long time I did see those. I know what you're talking about range days, but for some reason they've at least lately it's kind of changed and they're just there all the time, at least for the
Yeah.
past few weeks, 3 weeks or something. Uh,
I
so I
I
just
think
wanted to add that in.
yeah, absolutely. I think they're there all the time. Um, Sometimes they're further out, and I feel like sometimes they don't track price as closely. Um, but maybe that's because they're further out and there's a little more room to wiggle in between.
Okay.
That's something I'm going to really try to pay attention to as well, and let's see if we can come up with more evidence to kind of basically define what's happening.
Uh, yeah, I wish I knew more. I asked online about it and nobody knew. They all just observe the same things that we do.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's interesting.
I've you know I've had these theories about it, but again, they're just sort of working theories at the moment, hypothesis really, and so it's going to take more practice to kind of really suss these out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may be that there's not a lot of information about what they are. That might be by design, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's a proprietary strategy.
Exactly.
Some firm.
Yeah, I think it's hedging. I really do, because it's just the orders are too similar. They're the same size, so it's either hedging by the same person or it's two different players that are playing off each other, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing I thought of is like it, they're always the same size, right? It's like
Yeah.
200 or so, depending on the day.
Yeah.
They're the same size on each side, but you don't actually know if it's the same orders that are moving up. Are they canceling all of them, or are they just canceling part and leaving some behind and then adding them back in so it looks like they're the same size kind of thing?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's fascinating to watch, you know. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so moving over here to my trading DOM, we've got let's see if I can get an arrow going here. Okay, so this is something I see a lot. We've got a bunch of stacked orders on the offer, right in this area, starting at about 570250. And you can see on um, this area of the DOM, I'm sorry, this area of the market orders is empty. So price hasn't really gone here yet. Um, the highest that it went was on the offer at 5702. And then you've got this, 100 lot, 149 lot. These are all 100 lots. So there's times when this will act like a wall and it'll stop price from going. But if it's coming back to get back tested on like a second or third time and you've got a lot of aggression, then sometimes what I'll see is like it looks lighter on the bid side and yet it keeps pushing up into this wall. And usually it's not going to go past 5704, whatever that last order is, but it'll go through these sometimes pretty quickly. So I'm looking at this as a possible absorption zone. We've got prices moved up. There's a 810 print right here. There's 900 um, buyers just hit the offer. And, which way is price going to go? It's just on a very small scale. You notice the momentum tails. There's kind of two ticks to this momentum tail, which is the buyers. There's one tick over here, which is the sellers. So right now in this instance, um, buyers are more aggressive just by one tick. But sometimes you'll see this momentum tail expand to like 3 to 5 ticks, and on the offer side, it's only like 2 ticks. And so that shows me a lot of aggression. Buyers are hitting into that level. And so that's where I want to look for continuation. I want to look for, like, let's say this 48 keeps refilling back up to 90 or 100, and then some of those get filled, and it refills again, 98, 100, keeps filling, filling, filling. I might enter and I might lean on this 200 lot, um, and stick my stop loss like just under it. Like let's say at 56.9975. And then I'd be expecting the point of control, which is this darker blue level at 57 to hold. I'd be hoping that this 200 lot buyer would protect my stop if price were to come back down. And then the second we break, 570150, I'm going to target like whatever's been hit before. So you notice on the fills, we went from 0150 to oh 02. So that would give me 3 ticks. If I was to enter right here at 0150, I could take profit at oh 02 for 2 ticks or even oh 0225. So I might enter a 10 lot here and say take 9 lots off at oh 02 and then leave a runner and see if it can break 25 or 50 up here, 250, 225. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um, One thing that
And
would make me cautious over here, you can see the sellers are coming in heavier, and there was a bunch of polling just happened on the bid. So minus 49 lots just pulled. Um, so that could be a reversal point. This could actually be, an absorption happening. And again, these big lot sizes, I want to see who's winning here, the buyers or the sellers. Um, if the sellers keep stacking up at this level and the buyers keep polling like they are right there, then that could be a good reversal point, and I might wait and I might go the other way. And if I was to go the other way, then again, this 200 lot might still act as support, but I could probably get 2 to 3 ticks out of these if price were to go down. And again, you'll notice there's an empty spot right there on the offer side of the market fill. So I could target that real easy for 1 tick. And then over here, um, this is the delta of what's been. I believe these are the orders that have filled. So this is kind of like the volume profile delta. So over here you've got 14,496 orders went through. That's buy and sell orders at 5702. But there was 93 of those, 93 more of those were buyers than sellers, which is not a lot. But then when you get into like 578 more buyers, again, that shows a possible absorption point. Now then right here at 14,202, you had 651 more sellers than buyers at that level. So that's a key level, that 0125. And you'll notice this little range here is mostly buyers. And a lot of times price will bounce around inside a range when it's all blue or all red, it'll get stuck in that little range. And it's either getting accumulated or getting ready to distribute. So I try to keep my bias out of it and look at what's actually happening on the DOM, but that's a really good read for what the range is in this area right here.
sure.
And then over
What is the black part of your volume? Is that value area?
yeah, that's the value area. I just have it set to black because it kind of is more eye-catching, and I was trying to find a way to still read the numbers so that the numbers would show up better.
Sure.
Sometimes on some of my DOMs, I turn off the volume profile and I just read the numbers because that can help you spot, for example, if I had the black turned off, you would notice right away that we got a 20,180 lot um, orders went through right here. That's the point of control.
Mm.
So, you could be using that as a target or using that as support, et cetera, based on what's going on at the DOM. So I like to do that on my 1 point DOM is I turn off the volume profile histogram and I just look at the numbers, how the numbers are stacking up.
Okay.
Because I feel like with 1 point compression, you can really see the levels that are all compounded together because the big the big players are not putting all of their orders on one tick. They space it out 2 or 3 ticks apart and it makes it harder to spot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then over here, this is just like the delta histogram of the DOM. Um, Not even a delta, I'm sorry, but you can see there's 200 lots at 5,725, and then that's just showing, how there's a lot of lots right there. Um, so that's a cool thing. I use that as well, just for a visual cue.
Yeah, that's cool. Is that what's right below your point of control, the blue
That would be VWAP.
17,
I'm
the
sorry.
UL?
Yeah. So that would be the volume point of control and VWAP.
Okay.
Yeah. You see they're really close together. Sometimes they're like 4 or 5 ticks apart. So that can move. Um, and sometimes the volume point of control will like move higher or lower on a high volume play. So that's something to watch for. Any other questions while we're on here or anything you want to add?
Um, no, I don't think so. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's I will say it's a little bit confusing with your market orders flipped. I
Yeah.
gotta get used to that.
I keep thinking I'm doing it wrong and I need to go back to the other way. But the reason I do that, and I was talking to Psychosis about this, um, I like to see the aggression, you know, on on the bid and of the Dom, and I want to see the aggression. Um, this would be the offer, but this would be buyers hitting into the offer, right?
Mm.
So blue and blue is both buyers. I want to see both columns have aggression. When I get aggression on both columns, then that can, and I don't have that on the other side, then it can overwhelm a lot easier versus
Sure.
just aggression on the Dom is not enough. You need aggression on the market fills as well. Versus just aggression on the market fills, it might move price 2 or 3 ticks, but if there isn't like limit orders on the Dom to back that up, it can get pushed back down real easy. So
Sure. Yeah.
I like to see both, and so visually, I can see that the momentum tails lining up in blue with the buyers on the blue Dom. That's why I do that.
That's
And then
cool. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, and so like I noticed the way Grady does it, he watches both columns. He's got the buyers hitting the offer on this side. So I feel like when you do that, you have to split your vision into four. And when I'm doing this, I don't necessarily have to look at the numbers on the market fill as much as just that momentum tail. If the momentum tail is 5 or 6 on the blue side and it's only 2 on the red side, I don't have to read those numbers. And then I'm only having to focus on the numbers on the blue Dom and the tail, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to move over to just take a look at um, the volume profile. And I wrote that this was in a balanced market, and this is something that I've really been working on getting better at. for myself is not necessarily trying to enter in these consolidation ranges, um, because price will go up and it'll come back down. It'll go up and come back down, and then, right here it's in a downtrend, but it never hits the bottom, and then it comes back up, and it just bounces around so much. So really waiting for, like, in this case, you can see price, you know, did a little, started to break out, broke down again, and then right here it back tested it. That would be a great short right there. And I could,
Absolutely.
yeah, probably get a couple points out of that. Um, and this was something that I saw over and over the other day, where it's like you had a horizontal consolidation. This is in this high volume gray shaded, node. You can see there's a little bit of black space in here that's probably going to fill in. So, if I extend this line over, so what happened is horizontal action in here, it comes down, and then all of a sudden it's making another horizontal, so we just went from horizontal range to horizontal range, and it's only like 2 or 3 points. It's really hard to play. Um, and then the second range formed, and then price did come, and now it's about to back test that same bottom level from the previous range on the left. So that can be really tricky, It's like, do you play this long or short? Well, I showed you that one entry right here that I liked because this is a break of VPOC, I'm sorry, value area high right here, and VWAP at the same time. So VWAP broke, back tested, and then it broke again. That's a cool little play. And then sure enough, came up, back tested again, back tested again. You know, it's not really going anywhere. And this is all happening near kind of the high point of the volume profile. So price will do that a lot. It'll come down into it, and then this will just act as support. And it never makes it down to this blue line, which is VPOC. And it kind of fakes you out because you're thinking, oh, this is underneath, VWAP, this blue line, right? So this is all underneath. So price is back testing VWAP. It's probably going to fail. Well, it didn't fail. You got to wait and see. Now it came back up into it. Now we're back in this previous liquidity on the left. So, you know, reality here is this is probably going to back test 56.99 value area high again. And because of that strength, and because this is, the profile high, there's a lot of support. This may actually go back up to 57.06, which is the next VWAP deviation. And you can
Yeah,
see,
that's what I like. I like that too. The big push right off your
hmm
the center of your high volume node.
yeah. And you would have had to wait though, because you had a back test just slightly above VWAP, another one just slightly above VWAP, and then it broke. And once it broke and held, then I go over here to the left, and I see three big bars that are all sellers. So that's a fair value gap, and this will likely get back tested and filled back up to almost the green line, 57.06. They need to put some buyers in here to balance this out. This is all, that's an imbalance that happened previously. So that would be a good spot to target. And I wouldn't want to set my take profit above this consolidated liquidity here. So I'd probably be just like a couple ticks below 57.06 would be the
Okay.
safest bet. So
So
that's what
where
I'm.
is your VPOC? Where's the VPOC being calculated from? Is there more that we're not seeing?
Oh yeah. So I wanted to mention that too. Um, the way I have this set up, I believe, and you may know more about this than me because I know you've messed with these settings a lot too. Um, the profile is being set off of the previous day, but I think that it also has cumulative data for the session and for the pre-market session. So this is like a combination VPOC of yesterday's, the pre-market, and then the current one, because these levels will actually move as
Okay.
more volume comes in. So it's a
Yeah,
little bit
Nin.
of like session volume mixed with the cumulative from the previous day.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know a huge amount about it. I know I really don't like Ninja and feel like you don't have a huge amount of control over your sessions. You can kind of like select certain ones, but uh,
Yeah, you really got to get in there and tweak the settings, and sometimes they're not tweakable.
yeah.
It's I don't know. I feel like it does a lot of things though. Um, but some stuff I really like and some I don't. I love this their version of the volume profile so much. And part of the reason I like it better than Jigsaw's is purely because these lines, like the gray line right here, I can lock it in place. And in Jigsaw you can't. So every time I drag my mouse across it in Jigsaw, I move the line, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
So if they just had a lock feature on the lines in Jigsaw, that would be huge. Um, I also like overlaying the VWAP deviations on top of the volume profile. I use that a lot.
Is this Ninja's actual volume profile?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I may have had to download it. It may have been like a third-party add-on, but it was approved by Ninja. So it's like I don't remember if it actually came with it or if I had to add it to it.
Okay. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah, I know
you
because they like charge extra for their volume studies. I remember, which annoyed
yeah,
me. I use a third party one for that reason.
yeah, yeah. This is definitely a free one. And I know because I just set this up, the VWAP was not part of the default setup. I had to go and find that somewhere and drop it on there. Um,
Okay.
let's see. So I want to get into some of the footprints here. Um, I believe this next one is from a trade that I wanted to share with you guys. Yeah. So talking about like absorptions, um, this would be like during a low volume range day, you don't always see the stacked imbalances on the footprint. And you know, in this case, you can see price came down here and hit this level 56.91, but there's not a lot of stacked imbalances there. It bounced up and then came back and tested again. This time you got a stacked imbalance at the bottom. So I'd be looking at this as a bottom or a possible reversal point, but I might not enter, until I saw something more like this. I'd want to see an actual stacked imbalance. You can see that like 1,036 sellers tried to force a sell or they took profit at that level and they were kind of 995, so almost an equal amount of buyers at that level. So I'd really be watching this level to either hold or fail. I'd like to have a pullback and a back test in here. I'd like to see like a bunch of buy orders stacked and have it come back and test that, but you're not getting this because it's a low volume uh, level or a low volume day. So I'm gonna see if I can move over to the next chart here. And I think my point was this is what you see in a balanced market, a range day, a sideways day. You don't see a lot of stacked imbalances on the footprint chart. So it almost takes your ability to use the footprint chart for like good swings. It kind of takes that away, or it can be more subtle, it can be more difficult. Um, and I was just kind of comparing. A lot of these were taken from, I think it was Thursday's action, Wednesday or Thursday, whenever it was just like super sideways and it was hard to trade. Um, I'm going to open the next one here. This is the swing chart. Get that open. And same thing. This is kind of like, if you compare it to what I was talking about on the volume profile chart with the candlesticks, you have this um, kind of this horizontal consolidation right here. Price dips down and then it goes right into another horizontal consolidation. And then when this back tests and holds right here, this to me would be a great play because it's going to target that resistance line again because it's broken back into it. So I could get, 8 ticks right there.
So what is this showing? I don't use this one.
Okay, so this is a bar chart. Instead of candlesticks, we've got bars. This is the swing chart. I don't use the bars for that much, but it when you use the swing chart indicator, it auto plots the swing points on this is on the 1 minute time frame. So it shows you, and I find these really good for spotting ranges. Um, and you can see,
Okay.
I think that back in the old days, the old timers would use bar charts as being a more precise way to chart um, swing points.
So what are the numbers?
So that's the delta. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so you can see the delta changing, you know. Um, I think that this means you had 30,000.8 um, trades, and 47 more of those were buyers, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And then same thing down here, you had 15,000 trades, but 34 more of those were sellers, I think that's what that means.
So is that from one swing point to the next?
Yeah,
Okay. That's interesting.
yeah, I could be wrong about that because this is showing, so on this little downturn right here, this is showing there was 15,000 trades and it says minus 34, but it's showing the deltas to the buyers. So what this is saying is that even though price was coming down right here, there were more buyers than sellers. So this could be, they could be accumulating right here. Um, I'm gonna have to look that up because I'm not really sure what the difference is, like with the minus 49, minus 29. But the way I
Okay.
use it is I look, if I see we've got a downturn in blue, we've got an upturn in blue, we've got a downturn in blue, we've got an upturn in blue that's breaking a level, then that means buyers were stronger in this level and they're probably going to push up to the next level. Whereas right here, you've got a downturn in red, upturn in red, downturn in red. So sellers are still strong. You have one single delta to the buyers that fails, and then you've got, another downturn in red. If this were to break that level, that could be a nice little short right in there. I wouldn't necessarily have a target because I wouldn't, previously I had 56.91 marked. Um, so maybe I would target that, but I could still get a few ticks out of that. But
That's cool.
yeah, but I'm just kind of contrasting, what we were seeing on that initial chart. Let's see if I can show you here, just kind of how it looks. So you got this sideways consolidation, you got sideways consolidation. Um, Same thing over here, this section and this section. Um, that's just what that looks like on the delta versus the point and figure chart. So kind of watching both of those.
Okay.
Let's see, where is my next one? Okay, so this next one is,
Are you looking for a confluence between these?
well, these are basically the same chart, just different, different styles, right? One's a swing chart and one's a point and figure chart.
Oh,
So what I'm looking for is, you know, based on this like upswing on the point and figure chart, is it a true upswing? Are buyers really in control, or is price just moving up because, stop loss is being triggered or it's being manipulated? Um, Based off these bars of delta are showing me that, yeah, buyers are a lot stronger right here. And so that therefore I might be able to trust this break at 57.01.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was just wondering how you used them together, or if you just like if you used some part of the time versus the other.
Yeah, I just kind of keep an eye on the delta, the swing chart a little bit. And in a situation like that, I have it on an extra monitor and I'm just looking to see like, is this consolidation that's moving upwards really have more buyers inside of it, or is it a fake out and there's actually more sellers happening, you know?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
And then this is an actual trade chart, trade window. Um, I'm not sure what I wanted to show in this range because I think this is a different point in the day. Um,
Yeah, I know. I recorded my clip on Monday or something. Now that we're here, it's like,
yeah, it's like, what was I thinking? Um, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pull up the next one here. Uh, yeah, and I know what this is. So again, going back to this idea of like staying out of the horizontal consolidations. Um, I think I marked this as, this could have been a good short, and you could possibly expect this to go back to VWAP into value area high, which is this gold line, which it did. You got this big dip here, and then um, so I was showing you from 8:30 to 10 a.m. Pacific time is this yellow box, and that's kind of when I stopped trading. I've been trying to stick to that. I set a timer for 8:15 a.m. and I try to be out of all my trades based on what's happening. If there's still a lot of volume, maybe I'll stay in a bit, but I want to keep that in mind that, you know, this is off the open, and then this whole area just goes sideways, and you've got a sideways consolidation above value area high, and then a sideways consolidation below, and then it comes back up into it. And had I continued this yellow box, this would have continued sideways, and I think it dipped back down, but it just stayed in this range for a long time till like 11:15, 11:30 in the day.
okay, for sure. Yeah, I remember you mentioned that a couple times, wanting to stay out of anything past 8:30.
Yeah, so I started kind of trying to mark it up and see if I'm right about that, to see if the volume really does drop off or if the price action does go sideways. And in that point it did.
Do you ever come back in at the end of the day?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I try to trade with like a lot lower size and just, keep in mind whatever profits that I've made, how much of that am I willing to lose?
Sure.
But I'll trade from like usually you'll see a setup around 10:15 to 11:15, and then you can trade power hour, like 11:15, 11:30, it'll take off.
That's cool. Yeah, I wanting to do that for a long time, but I'm always working at
Yeah,
that time.
I think your approach though of trading like the first hour is actually really beneficial when it comes to futures. It's probably protecting you, because you do have to go to work.
That's cool. Yeah, I hope so.
This is from Wednesday, and this is just a 1 point compression chart. Just again, just showing you those control points um, marked on there. No
All right.
range action. Um, so getting back into the footprints here, this is one I wanted to show you. So we had this. Let me get an arrow going. We had this point where price took off, and you had these stacked buy side imbalances. So there's three in a row there. There's three in a row there. Price went back to it, but I I'm expecting a retracement at the very least to 55.69 because there's a stacked imbalance there. That means there's a bunch of limit orders that probably got missed. So price is probably going to come back test that. Now, if this is a true up move and then this pullback is a retracement, I don't necessarily like to enter short here because price can bounce up and down, up and down, up and down before it ever gets back to 55.69. So what I was looking for on this trade was, is 55.69 going to hold or fail? And it failed. Once it failed, I would have been more comfortable getting short and shorting to the next stacked imbalance because I knew this would then get back tested right around 55.65, 50. I didn't. I waited because this seems so strong. I mean, this is 1 5 minute footprint. What's it going to do? Is it going to come back here and bounce off this and then head higher? I wasn't sure. So I waited. And when we lost this level, that to me was the good short entry. And I began targeting this unfinished auction here at the bottom. That's several
Yeah.
ticks. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. That's like 10 ticks right there. So 2.5 points. Um, when you have an unfinished auction, when there's no zero that shows that the auction closed. It's unsuccessful. There's still liquidity hiding there. That's a pretty good spot to target. So that was my trade then was from basically from like here to here, 55.63.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah, and that worked really well. And I felt there was other opportunities in here, but I wasn't sure about them, so I just felt really good about waiting on that one. Um, and then this might be related to it as well, or this might be a separate. I think this was a separate play, but same idea. So we had an unfinished auction right here. And this is that same unfinished auction. So this is actually the follow through on that play. Um, so I targeted from 55.65, which was this failed stacked imbalance of buyers, buy side imbalances. Two buy side imbalances failed and then held as resistance right in this area. So I entered around 55.65. My first target was 57, this 55.63-ish. I took profit there. And then when price came back up and back tested again, I got short again. And this time I'm targeting this other failed auction where there's no zero on either column. And that worked out really well. So that was quite a few ticks on that one, probably about 10 ticks. I think I entered like right around here, around
Okay.
50, 60. So this to me was like a failed breakout. You know, you saw this line hold right here, and then it came up. You got these stacked imbalances, and if they were going to hold, you know, price would come back and back test around 55.65 and bounce. It didn't bounce. It failed. So once it failed, these support now flip to resistance, and you can kind of lean on that order, that level 55.65. And if you go left, you'll notice there were stacked sell side imbalances over here.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
means previously there was a lot of sellers trying to sell their orders in here, and some of those might have got missed and might have got pushed through by this aggressive buyer. So once price loses that level and it comes back into this area where there was a lot of sellers previously, that's another good hint that we're going to go down to that unfinished auction right there and right there. That's exactly
That's
what
nice.
happened.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, I've been really loving those plays. Um,
So one thing I'm seeing, how do you, I don't know anything about footprints, but what is the like you have the thin spots on a bunch of these. Is that just where price pushed through really quickly?
yeah, so that's a really good point, and it's something I forgot to mention. Those are low volume nodes, and so that's the other thing that I look for. Um, you've got this stacked buy side imbalance. Let's just get rid of that. So you got stacked buyers right there. Um, that level does not defend, it fails. And then right at that level, you have a low volume node, which means price is rushing through that level where there should be support and there's no support left. So
Yeah, okay.
either those previous orders were pulled or they shot their wad and they're out and price is able to just blast through. So once I see a low volume node like that, you know, um, and I see it win. You'll notice right here there was an unfinished auction, so that gave me a little bit of concern. But then when it came back down to this low volume level, and this time it was a closed auction, I was like, okay, so I would have set my stop, above this 55.66.50,
Okay.
and I'll use those for stops a lot. Try to get a couple ticks above the low volume node. Yeah, it shows aggression.
That's really cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and just to take it like a little further, I'm looking to see. So, for example, you see this one down here, it says 207. There was an imbalance. So just below that, you had 52 sellers beat 4 buyers in that low volume node. And then
Hmm.
below that, I can't quite see, but then the next one below that, you had 42 to 20. So this was, even though they weren't 3 times as big, they weren't a full, 3 times imbalance, there's an imbalance to the sell side happening there. So you can make a judgment call on that low volume node as being to the sellers or to the buyers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are these 5 minute?
Yeah, each one of these is like a 5 minute candle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And I took out the histograms, the red and blue colors on the background because it just confuses me. If over here on the left, if you had all these stacked imbalances, you would see a lot of red on
Hmm.
the candle, and I would be thinking short. But in reality, this was a, a temporary sell side absorption that flipped long. So by not having colors on the footprints, it just doesn't affect my mental bias.
That's cool. It's cool that you mentioned that because that was in the that book that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Market Mind Games. She talked about that how red is conditioned, like for everyone, not just traders, but I mean you got stoplights and all kinds of stuff like that. It has a lot of meaning.
That's a
Um,
really good point. Yeah.
she was talking about that how it can be beneficial to remove the color or to switch it to a neutral color.
Yeah. I think that's wise. Yeah,
Uh,
a buddy of mine even he switched his candlesticks and even his his volume bars at the bottom of the chart just to gray. So
okay.
he's got to infer purely, based on, I guess, direction, but that way he's not biased to the long or short because of the color.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, cool stuff. I'm glad I had a chance to show you these footprint charts because they were not ideal conditions and they were not ideal for like a long intraday swing. Um, the the volume just wasn't high enough, but for these short little, you know, 5 tick, 10 tick plays, they were great.
That's really cool. Yeah, I would love to learn more about them. I think they're really cool.
Yeah.
Seems like you can see things that you can't see with just a regular chart or on the DOM.
Yeah, it kind of because this is just tape, right? Footprint chart is just tape, but it's like you're able to look at historical sections of the tape.
Yeah,
Whereas, if you
yeah,
just have the tape running, if your eye catches it, great, but then you can't look back at it. And sometimes you can. You could scroll back, right? Like in DOS, you can scroll back on the tape and try to find those spots. Um, but this is just a horizontal print of that.
yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, good stuff. Did you have anything else you wanted to add here?
No, I think yeah, that's all that I had this week.
Cool. Well, then I'll probably cut it short. I think we've gone on long enough. Um, and I will look to see you in the Discord tomorrow. Catch up with you in the morning.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Yeah, so we had a few different new members over last week. Do you
Yeah,
uh do you know those guys or are they just
no,
from
we're getting more and more members from YouTube postings, and sometimes I go through the Jigsaw Discord, and there's just a lot of people asking questions. So
okay.
I look where people are really confused, and then I'll do a video on that question, and I tend to get, 1 or 2 followers will pop in from that. So
That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think Claire came over from Jigsaw, and Psychosis came from Jigsaw. Um, yeah, yeah. I think Nigel and I are gonna try to meet up and do another one of these probably tomorrow afternoon. Um, I'll give you a heads up if you're around. We might do it a little bit more based on bookmap, just because he's a bookmap guy. I know he's got a ton of stuff to share. So,
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, let me know. I'll definitely join if I can.
all right, great. Um, okay, well, thanks again for joining, and yeah, I look forward to tomorrow and to next week. I think we'll have a lot more stuff to share. Keep taking those screenshots, and we'll try to go over everything.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, I'll see you, Jill. See you at the open.
All right, I'll see you at the open. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Again, that's Premium Tier Futures this is our weekly recap, and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and feel free to ask us any questions. I can always send you a link to the Discord, and we will see you out there.